Governor Doug Ducey, welcome back,
Great
Governor.
to be back, Mike.
You must have heard me talking this morning about being casual. You're wearing jeans. I think it's the first time I've ever seen you in jeans.
No, I've been in jeans a bunch. I haven't been here in the studio, but yeah, I'm going to be out campaigning, so getting ready for a long flight.
Yeah, you're heading out, right?
I'm leading the RGA, the Republican Governors Association, this year. We've got 36 races across the country. Not only are we going to win Arizona, we're going to win Michigan, and I'm headed out there to help Tudor Dixon defeat Gretchen Whitmer.
That's going to be that's an exciting race to watch. Such a disparity in platforms there as well.
Tudor's a great candidate. She's a great contrast, and I don't think there's a governor in the country that behaved more poorly than Gretchen Whitmer during COVID. She crushed the schools. She shut down small businesses. She told people not to travel, and yet she left the state to go visit Florida and see her own father.
That was the funniest part about it, because everybody criticized DeSantis in Florida. Not only did she fly, she went to Florida.
She was a real hypocrite, and she's going to pay the price this November.
Let's talk about Arizona. Before we get into specifically your job and what's been going on, let's talk about the upheaval yesterday with PBS and Kari Lake and Katie Hobbs. You have an opinion on that?
Oh, I sure do. First, I want to say I have always found PBS to be fair and balanced, and they made a big mistake here. You just can't do this. You have a debate. You invite both candidates. One declined to come, so the other candidate, Kari Lake, gets the stage. Somehow, Katie Hobbs got that half-an-hour interview that was going to be solo post Kari Lake's. It just seems wrong, and I think PBS needs to fix it.
But can they? That's the question. How do you fix it?
Well, Katie Hobbs can show up and debate, or Kari Lake can have that time.
Right, and then they have to give that back. So, the interesting thing for me was it was going to be the Katie Hobbs interview was going to be after the Lake interview aired. So it's almost like debate prep, getting the questions ahead of time.
It makes no sense. And like I said, PBS and Ted Simons specifically have a brand of being fair and even-handed, and they made a mistake here. They should just rip the Band-Aid off and fix it.
And they've lived up to that for the most part.
I agree.
We both would agree that they have that reputation because they've earned it. This just seems to be an odd mistake for them.
I've been in that studio. I've had that experience several times, and I've always left. I may not have liked the questions, but I feel that I was treated fairly. They need to continue that, and they should address this right away, because it's becoming a national story. And also, Katie Hobbs has got to show up for the debate. If you want to be the governor of the state, you have to be able to stand and deliver against an opponent. That's been the price of admission for decades at all levels of our political atmosphere, and she, for whatever reason, refuses to do it. She refuses to get in the arena.
Yeah, she did it in the primary as well. She wouldn't debate in the primary either.
That was wrong as well. Somehow she won that primary. She's the candidate. She's the nominee for the Democratic Party. She needs to show up and have the debate and the discussion with her opponent, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
When you were in that position, this is just a personal question. Is it nerve-wracking? I mean, as a moderator of a debate, I've got the questions in my hand. Is it nerve-wracking to be in a debate situation?
I think if you're prepared, you're relaxed when you go in there. But the debates are high stakes. A lot of people are worried about many other things besides who's going to be the next governor, but they'll carve out the time to watch that debate to make a decision. Right now, Republicans are voting Republican, Democrats are voting Democrat, but it's the independents and the undecideds who are going to make the decision, and that's where the debate matters. And if you're prepared and you know what you're talking about and you have a plan for what you want to do in the state, I've enjoyed all my debates.
And with the growth in independent voters, that's such an important demographic right now.
It's an incredibly important demographic. I do think the one that wins the independents is going to win, because our politics are very tribal right now. And like I said, people put on a uniform, but about a third of our state is a registered independent. So if you can win those independents, you're going to be the next governor or the next U.S. senator.
Let's talk about Arizona in comparison with the rest of the country and what's happening at the federal level. Inflation is through the roof here like everywhere else, but everybody keeps saying that Arizona is so much better positioned to weather the storm. Why is that?
We are better positioned to weather the storm because our economy has been transformed. I mean, these companies, high-tech, high-paying jobs that have come here, that have invested, have raised our housing prices, have given us atmosphere where everybody that wants to work can find a job. People are getting raises. They're climbing the ladder. And I don't want to see a downturn or a slowdown, but it happens in the business cycle. I think Arizona is well positioned to navigate through that and not participate in any coming recession.
Cato Institute just gave you an A grade in their fiscal policy report card. How meaningful is that to you?
Well, listen, Cato is a tough judge of governors across the country. When we came into office 8 years ago, we had a $1 billion deficit. Today, we've got a $5 billion surplus. We've been able to lower our taxes to the lowest flat tax in the nation at 2.5%. Americans are voting with their feet, and they're moving in droves to the state of Arizona. So it's nice for them to adjust the grade to an A. But I think the people of Arizona have seen that just with the great quality of life that we have here.
Let's talk about that tax, that flat tax, because it was expedited. You guys met some thresholds. So what's that going to mean for Arizona taxpayers?
Well, it means everybody's going to pay 2.5% flat tax next year. Everybody gets a tax cut. And Arizona today is the lowest flat tax in the nation. That low tax, light regulation, great educational choice atmosphere that we have here is something people prefer. It's why people come here from all over the nation. So you're getting a tax cut for next year, Mike. I hope you make more money, and you deserve more money. And so do all the hardworking people in our state.
But at the same time, we have a surplus in the budget. It's not like we're losing money in the state coffers. They've actually gone up.
Well, every time we've lowered taxes in Arizona, we've received more taxpayers. And if you look, whether it's Kerry Lake or Katie Hobbs, both are calling for tax cuts right now in their future administrations if they do happen. I think that's a sign that not only is our budget healthy and growing in terms of revenue, but people see other opportunities to continue to lower the tax burden on Arizonans. And that's really unusual for a Republican and a Democrat to agree on tax cuts.
All right, so I want to take a quick break. And in a moment, I want to ask you about legacy a little bit, because you're kind of getting to the end of the road here at your time. But I want to ask you, is it tax cuts or is it school choice that you're going to be most proud of when you leave office? So we're going to do that in just a moment. So as we went to break, I asked you, what will be your legacy, or what will you be most proud of? Would it be the flat tax that we have now, or is it going to be expansion of the ESA program?
Well, I think there's a good competition between those two accomplishments. I'm very proud of the flat tax, but the expansion of school choice in Arizona, the fact that we're the gold standard for educational freedom, this universal ESA, educational savings account, is available to every parent in the state of Arizona. I really encourage everyone to take advantage of this if they need it, if you want to make a change in schools. And we're the first state in the country to get this done, Mike. So I think you're going to see this happen in other states around the nation.
They're already doing it. They're already modeling legislation after this here in Arizona. And I think it's going to be immensely successful in the competition that it builds.
It's a healthy dynamic because we want to see improvement in K-12 education. Public education is about educating our public. And I want to say a real thanks to Ben Toma, who was a leader in the legislature in getting this done, Rusty Bowers and Karen Fan. Arizona is the first in the nation to do this. I think not only can this reform K-12 education, I think this can renew our nation. You were there when we signed this bill. Although it was only Republicans that wanted this school choice for our parents, I'm going to tell you there were plenty of Democrats that wanted to get this done. Janelle Wood, who leads the Black Mothers Forum, all the black pastors that were behind this. I'm very disappointed that the Democrats don't see this as something that our people need, that kids are trapped in these failing public schools, and now they have an option.
And to give a working class family an opportunity to send a child to a private school or to a different school where they would have never been able to afford or have that opportunity before.
And most of these Democrats that are opposed to it want to private schools themselves, right, yet they don't want to see their constituents have that same option. To me, it's a civil rights issue, and it's actually an equality under the law issue.
Before I let you go, because we're getting close to wrapping it up, former Vice President Pence was in town talking about education expansion, but he also gave his endorsement to Blake Masters. I think Masters is the first person, at least in Arizona, that's gotten the endorsement of former President Trump and the former Vice President Pence. Is that meaningful?
Oh, it's very meaningful, and it was really great to see Vice President Pence. We were together when he endorsed Blake Masters. I thought Blake, hands down, won that debate. So if people want to check out Blake Masters, go and check out that debate. Blake's stance on the border and Mark Kelly's absence on the border, as well as inflation and rising crime and fentanyl. We need a change in the U.S. Senate, and Blake would be a refreshing change.
All right, I got about 30 seconds. Happy with the results so far at the border with the containers down there and that temporary structures that are being put in place. Happy with the results?
Well, I'm happy with the results. We're slowing the cartels down there, but we don't have any help from the federal government, and we've got the migration just overflowing. So we're able to introduce more fentanyl, and we keep that away from the kids. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have to let the rest of the world know that the border's closed.
Well, I hope this isn't the last time you're going to be in studio before you're done.
I'll be in many times.
All
Mike.
right.